Okay. And that is time. I hope it says 4 people currently viewing, so I think that's you two and possibly a third person in the background. But then again, that's probably me because I have it open on the side as well. So, yeah, you two, it's fine. Okay, so I am going to be doing this in a way that I will be recording and uploading this later for anyone who wants to follow along with what we're up to. And this will go on for until everyone gets sick of hearing my voice, or I get sick of hearing my voice. So, I haven't done much streaming, so if this cuts off at any point, or if there's any stutters, let me know. Just ignore that messenger call in the background. There we go. I swear I was trying to open something. Oh. Okay. So let's start out with looking at our content universes. So for any new DM that joins Alchemy, it's always the best bet to check out what you start with. This is my paid account, so I should actually log in with my other account. Let me use that real quick. Nah, it's fine. Alright. Because I have access to some more universe stuff, I will continue using my pay account. Alright. So, we start out by looking at what we have available. We have the 5th edition SRD. The good news is that the 5th edition SRD for a 5th edition GM, it gives you access to all of the SRD NPCs and all of the SRD items and spells. I don't believe there's anything outright missing. Oh, okay. I will move closer to the microphone. Welcome, Derekage. Is this a bit better now? Yeah. Hopefully this should work a little more. Alright. So, 5th edition gives you access to NPCs, items, and spells within the main D&D setting. The spells, sadly, can't be altered in any way. Whether in or out of game, once you add one of these spells, you're stuck with it as is. I haven't found a way to alter a spell once you've added it, or just the default ones. Once you add a spell to a custom universe, there are ways to edit it. But the 5th edition ones, if you want to do a different version, say you want to change Acid Splash for whatever reason, you want its base damage to be 1d4 instead of 1d6, you'd have to make an entire new spell to alter it, rather than trying to alter it after adding it through the 5e system. Unlike spells, NPCs and items you can change immediately once you add them to a game, or if you add them to your character sheet in terms of items, you'll be able to add and alter the stats, which will be good because the SRD for items is a bit of a mixed bag right now. Some of the armor, some of the weapons don't have the right settings, the right stats. Some of them don't have full descriptions. So we will check everything that we add individually if we add anything in game. The best thing to check against is your preferred source for D&D content. You can use D&D Beyond to check your stuff. You can use Roll20 if you have anything there, or any other place where you have that information. The 5e SRD will be getting a revamp in the future here on Alchemy, so that's something to look forward to, but not quite there yet. Once you know that you're going to be using 5th edition, you can look at what is available for free within the marketplace to give you a starting point within the game. It's a bit hard to tell what was available for free, but I do know that the Ruins of Samborum, the Promised Land, was free, as well as Bard College of Alchemy for Griffin Saddlebag, and the Heart of Daco and Weakworm's Fury from Hit Point Press, and Nord Games Elements of Inspiration, also free. Seeds of Decay, I don't know which company they're with, so let me search for that, because that one's also free. There it is. Splattered Ink Games. Yes, and tabletop audio is also free. Thank you for reminding me. Welcome. So yeah, that's everything you get to start with. There may or may not be a couple of other ones. Yes, Burrowbound, also free. One of those. Ancora Bay, that one's pretty good. So it's best to choose one of the free items to start working with. So let's take a look at those. Let's take a look at Burrowbound. It's one of the it's probably the most expansive free setting currently available. And it's just setting rather than the Heart of Daco and Ruins of Samborum. I feel like this one is very self-contained, a lot of expansive lore within it. So, as you can see here, each one of these articles is a self-contained scene that it has here as well, that plays out the story that this module encapsulates. Then again, if you look at the Hit Point Press, the Humblewood modules, they give you pre-mades as well, unlike the other one. And Cora Bay doesn't have pre-mades, so this is probably something we're going to want to look at. Pre-mades are... yes. So I'm not sure whether or not Anthua made it in yet, but they should hopefully find the Twitch link. Link and streaming. And if anyone feels like they want to join the audio, I do have... okay, Anthua's there. Alright. So, once you choose a setting, you should look through the articles and figure out where you want to start. Humblewood Heart of Daco has a lot of information there. That's wonderful. But you'll want to decide what you actually want to share with your players. Not everything is... so every player can add this adventure module to their game. They can decide to look at everything within the adventure if they want to before you actually introduce it as a DM, which can cause some metagaming issues if they are less on the reputable side. So if you have any rogues or in your game, they may or may not. So it's always great to pick and choose information that you want to give your players. So here, this is a very self-contained module that gives you very directed things to share with your players. So overall, you should be able to keep all that information to yourself. But what you do want to share with your players are these NPCs right here. So if you want to share pre-mades with players in a new game, I've come up with a fairly easy way to start that process without risking them looking at everything, and without making them have to go through a bunch of information all at once. So when you create a character, if you're using a free account, you'll have 3 of these slots open. I have tons. But when you create a character, you have access to the pre-made characters from every content universe that you own. So that means you can create the characters from that Humblewood module, the Heart of Daco, these 4 right here. And once you create that character, you can download it and delete it from your character list so you can save that slot. You only need to have 1 open slot for this. Then go to a universe, create a universe. Heart of Daco supplements. It doesn't have to be the whole universe to just Heart of Daco. You can just make a module for the game that you're running. But you can add that universe. Go ahead. And you can upload that character that you downloaded as a pre-made to your universe, and it'll have all the information, even the image, from the Heart of Daco universe. So now you can curate what your players see by giving them access to this universe instead of the full version, which has everything. But you can also do something interesting with this. Now that it is in a custom universe, you can do a special thing, which is getting an embed. Because if you look at the original Heart of Daco pre-made, you are not able to grab the embed for this because you don't own it. Like, you don't own the IP, so you're not able to share it independently apart from the universe as a whole or articles. You can currently share articles with your players, so I can copy this link and share it to whoever I want to, and they can have access to this paid, not this one's not paid, but this content universe. So if I went to Humblewood and I wanted to share the article for Corvum, one of the races in Humblewood, I could copy the link and give that to all my players, and they could see it independently and start making their own characters. But then they would have access only to this singular page. If they don't own the Humblewood universe, once they exit the Corvum and go into the Humblewood universe as a whole, they wouldn't be able to see any of the other pages. So that's one way to keep your players contained, is if you don't give them access to an entire universe, you give them access just to singular articles, and then they won't be able to see the other articles that you have hidden away with DM specific information. Or if, such as in our created universe for the Heart of Dako, this one could specifically be for players. And you can add your players here. And then within the same universe, you could make a new one for DM articles. And add any specific articles or information you want to use for that universe in your own section. For a free player, this is a great way to run or divide your content within multiple modules without having more than one universe. As long as you don't exceed the 50 universe objects limit, you can divide those 50 universe objects among as many modules as you want at the same time. Okay, so if anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to type anything in the chat. I know I've been very scattered so far. As I said, I don't stream much. I've been doing videos so far, so mildly nervous. So if anyone has anything they feel like saying or asking, anything specific, go ahead and shout it out at any point. Okay. So, we created that pre-made. We got the embed code. Now we can do something fun. We can add that embed code to a handout. Alright, Dako pre-mades. Oh, that's the link. I did not copy that embed code correctly. Homebrew item creation. Thank you, scary guy. Not sure what your Discord handle is, but thank you. I will definitely go over that. So we'll try showing this trick a bit better. Control V. And I don't remember his name. Snake guy. And then you have an embed of Snake Guy, and you can put this in game. All right. So Scary Guy said he wants to take a look at items. So let's hop over to items real quick. Heart of Dako occurs in the jungle. So let's try making something jungle centric. Let's say this is going to be a leaf sword of some kind. It's going to be a weapon. And so this is item types. When you create a custom item, you can either create the custom item within your character sheet. We're going to see this for a moment and go ahead and show that. So the pre-made is basically the same as the player character sheet. So let me show you this. You can add a new item from your character sheet, and you can create an item there as well. Or you can create an item in universe, which would be here. So those are two places you can do item creation. Within the character sheet, or in game, if you look at the equipment tab in game, or from the universe page. The benefit of making items in the universe page is that you will be able to reuse this item for other characters. If you make an item on a character sheet, there's no current way to transfer that item to any other character. There's no way to export items from character sheet. So every item that you make there is singular, one-off, and won't be transferred. You can always copy the character sheet, but that's not very helpful. So it's best to make the items in universe. So let's go ahead and look at our weapon. So this is where you choose your weapon type, your item type, and your item type will determine what fields show up here. See, it says specifically weapon type, but if it was armor, it would show armor type, armor different stats. If it was a wondrous item, it would say magic or consumable. A rod, I think you can add a spell action. Apparently not, but you can add different actions to different items. You can also customize to certain item, but then you don't really get the extra fields anymore. So all the item types are tied to 5th edition here because the system is 5th edition. So you wouldn't have fields for stats that don't exist within the 5e system. But you can decide for a wondrous item if it attunes or not. Is it a wondrous item or just magic item in general? Basic item. Okay. It's a magic item. If it requires attunement, you can choose if it requires a specific race, class, any other requirements for the attunement. Also, whether or not it is consumable. Determine rarity. Alright. So let's go back to a weapon. Because weapon and armor are the two main item types, so it's best to go over those fields. For a weapon, you can choose any of these types or type in the page. But if you choose a ranged weapon, you can give it the loading there. And if you have a ranged weapon, you can, when you make an attack roll, you can add as a range attack, and you can say it uses ammunition. Just put in random stuff. So for the ammunition tag, this would work if it was in your inventory of a character, and you'd be able to use this drop down to select an ammunition type that you have within your character sheet. So say you have this crossbow and you want to add arrows as an ammunition type, and every time you shoot your crossbow you'll use your crossbow bolts, even though I said arrows. You can tie those together, so every time you use the attack you would go down in one of your stockpile of crossbow bolts. Let's remove this for now and go back to the item description. You can add any of the available properties. I'm going to do sword. I'll say leaf sword's a long sword. I'll say versatile, one-handed, two-handed. I believe that's what versatile means. It's not a magic item and it's not consumable. You can put how much it costs, how much it weighs. Say it weighs 3 pounds, costs 2 GP. I have no idea whether or not those are good, but that's fine. For the description, this does support markdown, so you can add the image that you want to the item, and you can also add other images and formatting here as well. Unlike articles, markdown within fields like this, it does not show you what the markdown will look like while you're typing. So leaf sword background. This sword is made from the polished I don't know how W's ended up there. That's fine. Okay. And once you save it, you'll see it here, and you'll see the markdown works. When you're viewing an item, all you can see is the description. You won't be able to see the actions. So if we add an action, say this is going to be one-handed attack with the weapon. You can add an attack action, a skill check if it has a special ability, dice roll specifically in case there's something that's not an attack or a skill check. Command if you feel like you want to whisper someone in particular using the action, if you want to add a message so that it writes something within the chat whenever you use it, and then /roll, standard dice roll. So for the attack, you can put the modifiers. This one's going to use strength. We'll say this one has a base +2 bonus because it's a magical leaf weapon. Let's say it crits at 17. Get awesome crit chances. And then you can put the damage type here. Let's say it does 1d8 of damage. Bonus of 1 with strength, as I mentioned before, and the type is poison. We'll say the tree poisons people, and it will show the roll within the game. It will show you the specific, how many dice it rolled, how well it did. It will also show you the damage type. So I'll add this item in game a little bit later, and we'll see it roll. Okay. Scary guy, do you think that covered item creation fairly well? I'll show armor as well as that the other major item type, and a few caveats go with that one. We'll go silver bark. We'll go along with the silver tree. Armor. The armor type, breastplate. Good question. So, adding special abilities. Let's add something to this armor then. Alright. So, required proficiency. I'll say this requires medium proficiency. Bark isn't that heavy. So you can put the base armor class. We'll say the base armor class is 13. Maximum dexterity bonus. Let's say maximum is +2. And you need a strength of at least 10. You have to be at least average in strength to wear it. Bark does not give you disadvantage to stealth checks. It's relatively softwood or hardwood. We'll say it's fine. Magic item or not, rarity, sub-rarity, attunement, all that becomes available if it's magic. We'll say it's magic, and we'll say it's magic. Doesn't require attunement, and let's say it's a major rare item. All right. So, for that action that you just mentioned, let's do this. We'll say that this this armor has retributive splinters. So we'll say this is a dice roll. We can give it a description. Every time the wearer takes 4+ damage of any type, splinters shoot back at the aggressor. I will fix that. Reaching up to 10 feet away in case someone's attacking you from a little bit of distance, and those little spines can go far. Aggressor. Okay, wonderful. Let's say that does 1d4 damage. No modifier, and we do poison. Those affected must make a fortitude save of DC, I'll say 8. Not too hard because they're just splinters, but you know, a little bit there. Or else be poisoned for 1d4 turns, or 1d4 poison damage. Alright. So, this would be the best way to add an attribute, a special ability of some kind to your weapons. You want to give it a description, add any specific roles that must occur for that description. You could make this affect an attack roll if you feel like it, and have it be dodgeable, but we'll just say that it always hits. A bit unfair, but it's fine. It's a rare item. But yeah, so you want to add a description. If you feel like it, you can add a message. So it types a description whenever you use it, and so it will show up within the chat box whenever you activate the skill. Or you can just leave it in the description, where if you activate the action, because you took this 4+ of damage, and you activate the action and you do the roll for damage, if someone clicks on that roll, they'll be able to read this description and tell why it's there. Does that satisfy what you were thinking about, Scary Guy, for like adding a condition or a special ability to your item? Awesome. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save that. I should probably add that to so as I said, actions do not show up in your description. So if I save it like this without adding anything to the description, you have no idea what this armor does. You have no idea what its stats are. You have no idea what that special ability is. So you can add it here. I'll say and save. Okay, and now you'll know what the special ability is for that item. Okay, so let me show you another thing about universes. So we created this character originally in the library. So let's do that again with a different character so that I can keep adding to that pre-made list. So we added this character. Now let's go to their items. If we want to add an item to this character, we only have SRD to choose from. We can't add items from any of our paid universes to this character through their character sheet while it's here, because this character is not tied to any games. So because it's not tied to any games, it's not tied to any content that would be tied to that game. So it's just free floating and only has access to the standard SRD content right now. But if we do the same process as we did for the other character, where we download it and get rid of it now. Okay. And bring it over to the heart of Daco. Import. Okay. Now, if we look at his equipment tab and we try adding an item, we have access to the SRD as well as our DM articles module and the player module if I had any items there. So you'll see, I apparently added it to the player modules. You'll see that we have access to the Silver Bark and Leaf Sword now that we've added the pre-made to the universe. So if you create pre-mades or in the universe, or if you created this in game where you had access to the universe, you would have access to all of those items there. Okay. Let's create an article real quick. So let's do this. And new window. There are going to be many instances while using Alchemy where it's going to be helpful to have multiple tabs open at the same time. So in this instance, we can create an article where we can take some things trying to see if there's anything here that would be good for sharing with the players. Okay. Let me show you a trick to take images from content universes and use them for yourself. So for this universe, there should be an assets tab. There currently isn't, but that might be fixed in the future. But there should be an assets tab that should have the pictures, any music and stuff that are available within this universe. But if that's not there, here's how you get the image from the universe so you can use it yourself. If you right click and you hit inspect, you can see all the links that these images use within the universe. So right here is that image. And you can open that and voila, you have access to the image and you can save it to your computer. As temple. And then you can upload it to your own universe. I would not recommend doing this and sharing what you make from it for paid content with people who do not already own that paid content. I am not trying to promote piracy, but this does allow you to make use of images from paid content universes that you own in a way to display to your players or display in a more unique way. Or say you want to use this image of wasps and you just want to create your own wasps, your own wasp NPC. So that, there you go. You can just take the image and make your own Wasp NPC doing that. If you have a paid content universe, you paid to be able to have access to this content, to these images, to these words. I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to just take a bunch of it and copy it and use it somewhere else. But again, do not, please, share universe content from paid content with people who do not own said paid content. Okay. Any other questions in terms of creating things at this point in time for universe content? Useful handouts. Thank you. Okay. So hopefully people in the stream have access to the Discord for Alchemy, where my discussion is for this stream. The Looking for Group page. I will post some links to some helpful handouts there that you guys can follow along with and see how the markdown works. So I told you guys, if you read those posts that I was making about the stream, that will give you access to a couple of useful handouts I've created for 5e. This is my 5e supplement. It has a bunch of usefully formatted information for 5e that you can take and use for your own use. And I'll show you how that works and what it looks like. Okay, so we'll look at this one here. I'll close this guy for now. All right. So these are articles that I already have completed that are ready to show you. And I'll show you the markdown for how I created the different aspects of this article and what is useful for a handout versus what's useful for an article. Okay. So this particular article, which I will share in the chat now. So if you have access to the Looking for Group page, you should be able to take that link and follow along looking at it. And I will show you how to add this article to your own page if you wish to use it. So this is my in-game cheat sheet for 5e. This is the article version. I do have a handout version, which is only slightly different. So the difference between an article and a handout in Alchemy is twofold. One, you don't have the same capability to view it in game. So handouts are available in game. Articles are not. So anything that you make in the article tab of your universe, you will not by default have access to it in game. Anything that you make within handouts can be easily added to your game and be seen by your players in game whenever they want to. The other difference between articles and handouts is the viewing format. Handouts only have this narrow view, so you don't get this sidebar that's usually here, and you can't really use the scrolling function very well. You can't like browse all the way up and down very easily if it's a very large handout. This one isn't. So if you try adding an article that's just really long to a handout, it's going to be really hard for your players to scroll through and see everything. So my way to fix that for this handout is um, to use embeds. So you have two ways to, well, a few other ways than just two, but two main ways to link to other information from a handout or article. You can link, which will send you to a new page. I don't actually have anything with links at the moment. Or you can use an embed, which will not open a new window, but will take you in another pop-up like a handout to that article within the handout view. So the embed view and the handout view are basically the same. So this is my combat action basics article. So this is an article that's actually in this section, combat action basics. So this is the full view. You have this little divider here so you can skip around, but you can only see this view when you're out of game. If you are in game, you can use this cheat sheet and you'll get this embed view where you don't get the sidebar, but it's still relatively short. So you can use the little scroll wheel here and still find most of the information that you need for this topic. So for this handout, I've created combat step-by-step where you see the combat actions and the breakdown of 5E combat structure, where you get surprise, you establish your position, you roll for initiative, you take turns, and you begin the round. The action basics on your turn, you can make move, you can attack, and then bonus action. It's all there. And so I've added these embeds so you can see all of this information within game without having to go to the SRD and see it that way. It also has a return button so you don't have to exit out every time, which is helpful. Okay. I also have a second handout that is meant to be used outside of game, which is called character creation. I'll copy this link and add it to the chat as well. And so the big difference between this one and the previous one is that this is meant to be used to help you create a character, and creating a character in Alchemy is actually best done outside of the game rather than inside the game, because you can reference other information while editing your character sheet. So the best way to do that, I'll give you an example. So let's create a game. Let's go through game creation real quick. Just a little simple. All right. So when you create a game, you get this quick start guide that immediately fills you in with 5th edition, and you have access to all the 5th edition modules. If you were playing a different system, you'd have to choose it here, but we will be using 5th edition. But if you were choosing a different one, it would cut off access to anything that's not part of that system. So since I don't have any Pirate Borg systems besides, I don't have any Pirate Borg systems at the moment. There's nothing listed besides the systemless ones. But 5th edition. And this quick start section shows all the modules that you have, not the universes. So you can see here that there are 4 different Humblewood modules here, because the Humblewood universe has 4 different modules within it. But the Humblewood universe is just one thing that you can turn on all at once here. and that will add all 4 of those modules to your game. If you turn on any of these Humblewood modules, the Humblewood universe will also be turned on. So we turned it on here for the quick start. If we go over to custom, Humblewood is already turned on, even though we turned it off a moment ago. So we are going to use the hard doco here, so we'll leave that turned on. Add your name. All right. And let's go ahead and hop in. And so it'll be prompted to turn on your microphone and camera if you want to test it. We'll leave it off for now, personally. And we'll join game. When you first start the game, it'll ask you whether or not you want to start inviting players. Who would like to volunteer their name to be added to the game? If anybody would like. Don't all volunteer at once. All right. Rin Starfire. Wonderful. Yes. So I'm not finding you, Rin, unless I had to specifically capitalize. No, you're fine. So I'm not finding you. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry. You're fine. But you can search for your players here. And when you add them, I'll add my dummy account for the moment. So as I mentioned, there are multiple reasons why you would want to have a side account. For testing purposes, I like having one to add to a game so I can test character settings. Yes, Alchemy. So, for example, DKH. Yeah, I can obviously tell which one's you, Derekage. There you go. And as you can see, your players do not have to accept the invite. So whoever you invite by their Alchemy name, they are automatically added to the game whether or not they want to. I feel like this is something that could be changed in the future because I don't entirely feel comfortable having anyone have the ability to add me to a game if they know my name. But then again, it's pretty easy to delete a game once you've been added to it. So it's not a big issue. But once you have a game, you can change your description, change your settings, add any content that you forgot to add the first time, such as where is I know the hard doc goes somewhere, probably. Okay, that might need to be fixed. I will add you, Stealthy, just so you don't feel left out. Later, apparently, because I hit exit the game. Okay. So let's check why the hard doco did not get added. To the list. Game system. Name hard doco. Was I blind? Was it already there? There you are. There you go. Join the party. Okay, Heart of Daco. Oh, it was there on the list. I'm just blind. I wear glasses. Of course, I'm blind. That's fine. Okay. So, the best way to create a character is to do it outside of game, but you want to start with your character in the game. So you can choose the pre-mades from the universe that has been added. So you can choose the Heart of Daco supplement pre-mades that we have already, or the ones from Humblewood. Currently, there's no way to turn off access to pre-mades in game that are part of your content library for that game. So let's say I wanted to use some Ruin of Samborum assets within my game, so I turned on the Ruin of Samborum universe. When a player joins, they could choose a Ruins of Samborum pre-made, even though it doesn't fit the setting. If that universe is turned on the same time as Humblewood. And as you can see here, even though we're using the Heart of Daco, the 4 pre-mades for the supplement of Wakeworm Fury has also been added. So they could choose these 4 instead of these 4, which are the ones that we want them to use. So that's something to be aware of when you're adding players to your game. If they want to use a pre-made, tell them which pre-mades that they're allowed to choose, or which ones aren't allowed to be chosen. So we'll choose one that's not part of the universe because I want to show you something. So we'll add this cleric. Okay. So we talked about how if you create a character outside of game, you don't have access to items that aren't part of the SRD. But if we add an item while in game, we have access to all the universe content that's been added to that game. So we have access to all the Humblewood universes. Again, a player will have access to all the content from all the universes that you add to the game. So if there is items in a universe that you have added to the game that you don't want them to use, you might have to tell them that specifically, that they're only allowed to use items from this, and this universe, rather than being able to choose from any universe that's on the list, because you might be using some sci-fi universe content within the game. Yes, actually. So Stealthy, if you can't, Stealthy or Derekage, if either one of you could join the game real quick and choose a pre-made, if you have access to the computer. And I'll show you what to do there. Awesome. So this is actually going to be a PSA warning for you guys as well, because this is something that I feel like is giving the GM a bit too much power, which I'll show you once Stealthy chooses a character. One moment while I drink some water. Okay. Stealthy now has a character, Finn Freefield. I don't like him having that character. It's not part of the setting. He chose the wrong one. So I'm going to view his character sheet. Once I view his character sheet, I can edit it, and I can delete it. And his character is gone. Okay, it updated. Now his character is gone. Your DM can delete any character in your game, in that game. So unless you have a backup of that character somewhere else, if they decide, okay, I want to just close this game down, and you have a player character in that game that's really important to you, you can delete it without a trace and just be gone. So Stealthy, check your character library and type and let me know if that character is in your character library anymore. In the meantime, I will add you a character that is appropriate. So you chose Finn Freefield. He was a fighter, so I'll give you the ranger of the group. Ta-da! I've assigned you a character. So, yep, not in your library. That character is just gone. It does not exist anymore. So I feel like that's another thing the DM shouldn't be able to do without asking. But they can. So the DM has a lot of power within Alchemy right now. So if you are worried about losing your character to a freak deletion, Alchemy support can technically get some of your information back from deletion. It's not deleted in some cases, but it might be best to like back up your character every now and then just to avoid that hazard happening in the future. In case your DM ever just decides to delete the entire game and you lose your stuff that you put time and effort into. If you get attached to your characters, which I sometimes do. Okay. So, let's go ahead and show you what I was going to show you. So now I have a character in this game. Actually, I'll join a different game where I'm already a player. Okay. Join game. No, that's not gonna work. Alright. So, one moment. I'm gonna sign out and sign it in on my other account. Haha! You can't see the password. Alright. So, now we're on my free account, which has that character that we added to the game. You can see here, this is my free account, but I have 4 characters. What's that? Why do I have 4 characters? I have more than the maximum limit. Currently, the DM can assign a character to a player, even if all their slots are filled up. So if your player has a bunch of characters already because they're in different games or they created a character that doesn't belong to a game, they can still join your game and be given a character if you assign a character to them. So if I deleted this character and I tried joining the game, I wouldn't be able to make a character on my own. It has to be given to me by the DM. I'll show you that in a moment. But since I already have the character, I can edit it just fine. And what I want to show you is that even though this character is out of game, like I'm not in the game at the moment, I still have access to the universes that were added to that game. Well, I have access to 2 of the universes. Awkward. The SRD isn't turned on because I didn't turn on the SRD in the other game. That's something to check. Oh, let me check that now. So another benefit of having 2 accounts is that you can be logged in on one account on the app and another account in the browser. So you can use both accounts at once if you need to, which is really helpful for me personally. So I can join the game and check what's going on with the content. Edit game, content. Heart of Daco supplements turned on. Both of those should be saved. I should have access to them. Interesting. Do I have access to those items while in game? Okay, so I have access to everything while in game. Okay. And now let's try exiting out of a game again. It's because I just hadn't actually joined the game yet. We're learning new things together. And now it's just the SRD. That does not usually happen. If I delete a character, does not change anything. Now it's back to that. Huh. Okay. Stealthy, you mind helping me out with this one? If you can hop back on again. And check if you have access to the modules for the extra content outside of game. So instead of going in game, check your character outside of game and see if you can add those items that we created earlier. Because I'm trying to see if this is like a paid versus free account issue, because I'm pretty sure I got this to work before, which is why I was trying to show it off. There you go. Because, for example, Stray is in that Ruins demo game. And so he has access to everything that was connected to that Ruins demo. So that's what should happen. But it's not what's happening. Well, that's interesting. Why don't you have the character in the game? Try refreshing your app. If you're in the app, try refreshing the app, or... Oh. Is it a free account where you pass your maximum? I assumed that you had a full account. Though deleting it could have just refreshed the page. I apologize to everybody else for this troubleshooting aspect. Okay. So for that character, check if you can add items from the universe that we created. It should be in the player section. Dead silence. Okay, let's add some scene music while we're here. Select. I have no audio assets turned on, so let's fix that. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I think this is what happens when you don't own that content. So every time I've been doing this workaround, I've had access to that content within my own universe. So Stealthy, I'm guessing you own Humblewood, the Heart of Dako, and Wakeworm's Fury. All three of those modules are within your account. Yep. But you don't own Humblewood Tales. Well, I didn't add that one. Actually, yeah, it would have been added by default. So you don't own Humblewood Tales, so that module didn't show up. Yep. But if you did, I bet it would have, because it's part of the Humblewood universe, so it should be connected. So that workaround apparently does not work unless you own the content yourself, which is good to know. So apparently you do have to edit your characters while in game at this point if you don't own the content universes or have access to them being shared to you. Well, actually, on that note, okay, let's do another thing. I'm going to quit this game real quick. And I'm going to add you to that universe real quick, Stealthy, and see if you get access to it then. So I'm going to add you to the player module where the items should be. Yep. Edit, sharing, Stealthy. Okay. Try the character again, Stealthy, and see if you have access to the items now. Actually, while I'm there, I can do the same thing with my character and see if that works. Okay, it didn't work for him. At least not immediately. I know I had access to the other ones a moment ago. Okay. So that worked for Stealthy Druid. Not for me, apparently. I think something happened with that character on my end. But yeah. So if you want your players to have access to your items outside of game when they're connected to your game, you have to add them to that universe. Good thing to know. I got distracted again, so let's take questions. Who has a question regarding character sheets and or game creation that we can tackle real quick? And if there are no questions, I will do a thing. Okay. Join game. That's the wrong one. Character sheet. Anything I want to highlight here? Yes. Let's go ahead and add those items from before. Should have access to everything now. I'll add the armor, add the leaf sword. So when you are playing a character, you don't have any of the actions by default. You have to equip the items to get access to those actions. So we can equip the leaf sword, equip the silver bark armor, and now we see them. So I can use the attack. Sorry about that. My puppy will calm down soon. Okay, holding a puppy. She is getting excited for 4th of July fireworks. Yes, so you might hear a bark or two. Fair warning. So, we have the attack. We can see that it's poison damage. I did actually still leave the ammunition tag on, so I can take that and turn that off. But that's fine. We can see the individual rolls, the +2, the proficiency bonus. The proficiency bonus is on by default. I did not turn it off, so we got the bonus. If I wasn't proficient in one-handed weapon and longsword, I can turn that off, and then it won't add that bonus. Here's the splinters. Let's say we got attacked. So we have this message here because we left that as part of the action. So now we can see what happens when we roll. Or if we didn't add that description there, it would be in the description for the actual roll rather than a message. If you click on it, you can see the roll and the description for that attack. For that roll. Let's go ahead and delete this character for a moment. And we will add the mage of the group. Cleric. Well, they were the cleric. Okay. Spells. They're there. But sometimes your spells might not be active. Because if you don't have a spellcasting ability chosen, you don't get a spells list. So you have to choose a spellcasting attribute to get access to that list. Some pre-mades might not have that on by default. Some might have it on the wrong thing. So it's always best to check. Okay. Let's move on to some scene creation. Actually, would you guys like to go over D&D Beyond characters first? I know some people have questions about the importer. Awesome. Okay, let's do that. So we'll minimize the game real quick and hop over to D&D Beyond. So when you are creating a character, you can do a couple of things. If if you've seen character creation in other sites like D&D Beyond, it has a full program to walk you through. You we'll skip adding content. You can choose your race. It'll give you options. You get all this information during the character creation. You can choose different things. This is all really nice, really helpful, and sadly not part of the Alchemy experience. So a lot of people are tempted to I'll delete that door for now. A lot of people are tempted to make their characters off-site and then bring them in, which I entirely understand, because just character creation in general is more streamlined on sites like D&D Beyond and Roll20. So let's say you have a character there already. So this is a pre-made that I got from D&D Beyond. It's one of the pre-made options from before that they have. It has all the information already filled. It has skills. It has the saving throws. It has its own spell list. All the features and traits already added. And a whole bunch of items already as well. So it has all the information we need for a level 1 character. So we want to pull all this from here and add it to Alchemy, easy peasy. So what we want to do is hit the share button, copy the URL, and we have to use the app instead of you want to use the app instead of the browser version, because this is only available within the app. You not import. You import from Beyond, and then you paste it here, and then you import the character. So it doesn't bring the image for your character. That does get lost, but a lot of stuff does stay. You can see from the view page, you have your stats, your proficiencies, your saving throws, your class features. But you'll notice that it's a very long list of class features. You have a level 1. Well, hello. Welcome. Currently going over D&D Beyond importation. Yes. Nice to see you, Oni. Alright. So D&D Beyond importation, it adds all the information for the traits that you get from level 1 to level 20 for the base class. It doesn't show the specific information you get for your archetype. So this character is a pact with Fiend, but it doesn't specify within these lists which boons you get from that pact at those levels where you get the bonus from being pacted with a Fiend. And it also adds all this extra stuff to your character sheet, so you might not want all the information from level 1 to 20 on your character sheet at the same time at the beginning. It's kind of overwhelming, especially for a new character, a new player. But there are also a few other drawbacks to importing from Beyond as well. Let's just show that comparison. The stats came over just fine. You have 10, 12, 14, 8, 17. Perfect. Movement speed, fine. Proficiency bonus, fine. Everything here. All the skills are chosen correctly. You got Arcana, Deception, History, and a couple more at the bottom. The first thing that we notice is HP is wrong. So the HP in the character sheet is, where is it? 10, but it just shows 8. in the Alchemy character sheet. So we had to fix that. That's one of the drawbacks. You always have to make sure to update the HP when you import. Your proficiency should come over. It does miss simple weapons for some reason, so you do have to add that in there manually. You have the drop down here for proficiency, so it's really easy to choose. We didn't have any tools. We already have all the languages that came through. We have saving throws. That's fine. But here's where I get to the bloated character sheet that it gives you. So the D&D Beyond has description. One of these is traits. Features and traits. There we go. And so the features and traits for the D&D Beyond character sheet is actually fairly compact. So why is it gigantic on Alchemy? That's because for each of these compact descriptions on D&D Beyond, you can click on it and get an expanded version. And so what the importer copies is this expanded version to your Alchemy character sheet. So instead of just showing you that you have proficiencies in Deception and Religion, it's showing you that you have all of these proficiencies here. Instead of just showing you that you have 10 hit points, it's showing you that you have all this hit point description there. The hit point one I'm relatively okay with, but Pact Magic. Instead of just saying you have Pact Magic and you can cast Warlock spells, this is pretty core information. It gives you all of this added to your character sheet, which is a lot, and it's not very helpful in your character sheet. So you had to clear out some of the clutter. But also, not everything makes it over. So Dark One's Blessing is one that doesn't get imported. So if you scroll down, you can see that none of these say Dark One's Blessing. It got lost in translation somewhere. The racial traits came over though. Those are at the bottom. So you get the speed, the dark vision, hellish resistance, infernal legacy. It doesn't list. Oh no, it does. Thaumaturgy right there. All right. So it does fairly well, but it gives you more information than you need, and sometimes it might drop something when you're using the importer. Moving on, the traits, it came over just fine here, but the background, it added literally everything. Let me show you that description. So when you click on Sage, you get this expanded description here where it shows all this information. That's what it pulls into your character sheet on Alchemy. All those tables, all that extra information. Even though it doesn't need to add the tables because you've already got them right here. You've already chosen. So again, it just brings in more information than you need. It also doesn't populate the background feature section properly. The background feature is listed here, right there, feature researcher. So that feature should be in this section here instead. Okay. And for spells, it will bring in the spells just fine, for the most part. But if you don't have the spell, so it's brought in all the SRD items, but Witch Bolt isn't part of the SRD, so it created a spell for you and added it in there, which is great. So Witch Bolt should work just fine. It should be on your character sheet. It won't show up in your universe, but for this character, it will be active. And so that's helpful. And if you're creating this character on your own, you can divide the spell list by warlock spells, and you'll see all your warlock spells. But you won't. This is another thing that's lost in translation. So for being a fiend pact, you get bonus spells as part of your features and traits. Pack magic, is it here? Expanded spell list. Okay, so this one also doesn't make it over in the feature section. There's no expanded spell list feature here, so you don't know which spells you get added to your spell list, because it won't be listed here, and in the spell section, the character sheet doesn't know what to add to the warlock spell list, so these spells won't show up when you filter for warlock. So you don't see burning hands here, or command. You don't see blindness, /deafness, or scorching ray here either. They exist, they're just not warlock spells, so you'd have to search for them independently. Burning hands, see it there? That kind of thing. I was looking at the wrong section a moment ago, but that's fine. So I have heard of those, but I haven't tried them personally myself. And yes, so I did mention that a little bit ago. When you import the HP, it defaults to 8. You have to change that manually. So for the GitHub projects, I actually haven't had access to those. So that is something I'll have to personally look into. I haven't done it quite yet. The only importer I worked with is the native D&D and Beyond importer. So far. Okay. And so that's what we're going over right now, is the native D&D Beyond importer. So the next thing to note, after the spells, is the equipment. Remember earlier when we were talking about how the SRD in Alchemy has items that are sometimes inconsistent with stats? Well, that's better than D&D import items because they have no stats. D&D, when you import an item from D&D Beyond, all you get is the description. You don't get the action. You don't get the item stats. So you'd have to do everything to update the item list in your inventory from scratch. And so that can be a pain. So you can either do that, or you can just delete the item that you imported and replace it with the SRD version. Crossbow. Light crossbow. And so now that we've added the light crossbow, the description's missing, but we have stats, we have tags, and better yet, we have an attack action that we don't have to make ourselves. Yeah. Maybe. So, uh, I know there's someone who has been able to import D&D stuff from Beyond that's not SRD. Um, so, for example, uh, okay, for character sheets specifically, not items that aren't tied to character sheets and not monsters, because I haven't tried that because I don't have access to any monsters on D&D Beyond. But for character sheet stuff specifically, I've showed a little bit ago that let's filter for known that you can import non SRD spells and it will copy the spell for you into your alchemy character sheet. So Witch Bolt isn't SRD, so it just made a new spell for you in the character sheet. So that worked fine. And if you had an item on your character that didn't exist in the SRD, it would be imported here. You would just only have the description that went along with that item, but you wouldn't have action or stats tied with it, and you had to fill those in yourself. Did that answer your question in regards to character sheet stuff? It'll also import like features and class information from D&D Beyond for stuff that's not included in the SRD because it's just pulling the text. But again, sometimes it might drop a feature. To use markup, you'll have to explain that a bit more, Oni. As I said, I only have experience with the native importer for Markdown. Okay, that makes more sense. So, to create items accurately, if you import the item from D&D Beyond on your character sheet, the best thing to do is just to it should have a description already. If it's an item that doesn't exist in the SRD, all you have to do is go to the item on your D&D Beyond inventory, click on your D&D Beyond item, see the stats for it, and then just bring those stats over. So dagger is a weapon, reach 5 feet, make an action, attack. It's not range, that's 5 feet. It does have a range option, so I'll add that in there. 20 by 60. Doesn't have an ammunition type, does not require saving throw. It would do 1d4 plus 1. I believe the 1 is just strength rather than actual plus 1. But yeah, or dexterity if you wanted to use dexterity. Yeah, so that's going to be a bit of an issue for you to import items one by one. I think there might be a way to do items via JSON eventually, but I don't think it's currently an option. Yeah. So I would not recommend mass importing items just because of the effort that would be. You can do it one by one as needed if you're going to add something to your game. Yeah, one by one as needed. It's probably going to be the best option. There is currently a downside to the Griffin Saddlebag. So that's one of the item expansions currently. Yeah. So one of the item expansions currently in Alchemy is the Griffin Saddlebag. I am hoping it might be updated eventually, but right now, when you add an item from the saddlebag, they do not have actions attached to those items. So we'll go by open. Okay. So this quarterstaff, it does not have an action attached. It doesn't have well, the magic items do have some information attached to its magic. It says whether it's attuned or not, but it doesn't have actions. Yes, I love the Griffin Saddlebag as well. I just wish that they had actions. That would be a great, very good bonus, especially since it's in the game. So we'll see if that gets updated eventually. Okay. So that was D&D Beyond. I think that covered everything about the character sheet. If you're creating a character independently of D&D Beyond, you can decide what information you put into the character sheet. So, for example, I think this one. I didn't go through it. When you add a character outside of the D&D Beyond, you can choose what you actually want to add to your character. You can fill in as much information as you want or as little information as you want for your feats and such. But there is a downside to using the importer as well. You can't upgrade a character. So let's say we have this level 1 version of Stray and we want to upgrade him to the level 2 version that we have. So I want to add in the traits, features, whatever it is, for level 2 to this character. I won't be able to do that. When you import a character, it always creates a new version. So if you want to level up your character and see that information from D&D Beyond over to a character you already have on Alchemy, you're going to want to just follow along with your character. Go from level 1 to level 2. Do whatever additional options that you need. And then add those to your character sheet in Alchemy that way. And kind of just like do it in tandem rather than creating a new character. So that way you don't have to update like your description and your backstory and make all the edits that you did the first time to get it looking just right the way you want to, all over again. Okay. Any questions regarding character sheets and D&D Beyond? Let's go ahead and showcase something. Okay. So if you want to transfer your character from one game to another, there's currently no way to okay, so let me show you. Your character is tied to the game that it's in once you add it. So this stray right here, we'll add it to one of my games. I'm sure I'm a player in one of these. Oh, sorry, library. Okay, we'll use this version of stray then. Now we'll delete him. Goodbye. Only use the one that we just made. So you can choose your character from your library to add to the game. So to get this character from this game and into another one, though, there is not a way to do that. So let me show you an example. I will download him just to be safe. But now I will leave that game I just added him to. So I'm going to leave that game. And let's close and refresh that page. So the character stayed, which is interesting. I was actually expecting him to be deleted. Interesting. Let's go to my other Alchemy version. So that's this one. Did I just screw myself out of that game? Oh my gosh, I screwed myself out of that game. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. I'm a spectator in both of those. I will have to talk to the team about that one. Interesting. Okay. Mildly speaking. So most of my characters that I've been showcasing here is my own characters. Managing characters as a DM is actually fairly straightforward for your players. So I've been doing a whole dual account thing here. So yes, so we covered that a little bit ago. DK doesn't have a character yet, so I can go to my pre-mades list and just add any of these characters to him, and he'll be using it. I can add him a character from my own library if I want to. So if I have a character there, I can give that to him. Or I can just create him a base character with no information. And if I want to, I can delete a player's character like I showed earlier. So that character is gone. So for that, what you're talking about there is a pre-made character, because player characters cannot exist in game without being tied to a player. So what you want to do is have pre-mades ready for them to choose that they can look at and browse. So this is something I was trying to show off earlier, but creating it on the fly is more difficult than just showing you one I already have. So let me show you the one that I've created already. Humbled primer, handouts, Waker pre-mades. Okay. So this is what I've done for that specific scenario. Oni, they can join a game and decide not to pick a character. They can just exit out of the character creation, and then they can look at this handout that you give them. And this handout lists the 4 pre-made characters for the adventure Wakeworm's Fury. and it has embeds for those characters that you can look at before you pick one. And then they will be able to decide which character they want to become in your game. Does that kind of fix that use case for you, Oni? Where they can like look at a character before they pick one? All right. You can create like a handout like this by... Yes. So, that's fine. So if you want to build their characters to transfer over, you can, if you have their D&D Beyond code, you can do that. Or for just creating a character for them in general, you want to go to whatever universe you're using. So we're using the Heart of Dako one earlier. And you'd want to make their characters for them in this pre-made area. And then they would have access to those pre-mades when they join the game. If you have the universe turned on. That's probably going to be the best case scenario for you when you want to create the characters for them and have them choose them when they join the game. Also, so let's say you want to use the items from the universe contents that we were talking about. So let's say you wanted to use Griffin Saddlebag items for their character sheet. If you create a character here in the universe, here, your pre-made character won't have access to Griffin Saddlebag. You only have access to the SRD and the items in that universe. The way to get around that is, especially if you have an unlimited account, so you can have extra character sheets available, you'd want to create a character within the game. So we'll go join Heart of Jacko. I have Griffin Saddlebag turned on here. You can create a character on your dummy account. It's always great to have a dummy account, just a side thing, so you can do things like this. You can add your pre-made character or create a character from scratch. We'll do another pre-made for now. We'll go back to the tree guy. And you can add the paid universe content item and spells to the character here. So you can take from the Griffin Saddlebag, give it Aegis of Radiance, Arcane Mirror, add those items, give, let's say he's a rogue, but we're going to give him a spell real quick anyway. We'll say he's using Dexterity as his modifier for his spells. So the cantrips, I don't have SRD turned on, so that's why you don't see spells for SRD. But you can have access to the paid content spells here, so I can just go ahead and turn all those on real quick. And then I can download that JSON and upload that character from the game to our universe as a pre-made. So import, open, and so the second one should be it. And now you have access to those spells from your paid content universe and those items. Aegis somewhere. There it is. The Aegis of Radiance and the Arcane Mirror from the Griffin Saddlebag within your custom universe because it's attached to that character that you created that you download the JSON for. So if you are making a specific character for a Ruins of Samborum game, and you need to use a bunch of Ruins of Samborum items and spells for that pre-made character, that's your own creation. You can create that character in-game, export it, and then upload it as a pre-made so that they have access to that content right from the beginning, rather than having to add it once they're in-game. If that makes sense. Everyone follow that? Any questions? I planned to have music running during all this, but that just kind of fell away a while back. It's fine. Okay. Good. All right. Any other character pre-made questions, concerns? I feel like we've gone fairly in depth with that this far. I can understand that. Okay. Let's go back and let's create a new scene. So when we create a scene, you can filter by universe. So you can get just the scenes from the Heart of Daco. You can get just the scenes from your custom universe, if I had any. Or you can get the scenes from the Humblewood module if you had access to that. And that will give... Oh, this is Humblewood for the Humblewood universe. And so that gives you all the Humblewood universes together. So let's go for Heart of Daco. And you can select all those and add them all together if I hadn't already. We're going to create a new scene altogether because I want to add some maps. I don't have an environmental visual for this one, so... So Humblewood Tales is relatively new, so it actually has an asset tab. So you have access to all the pictures in Humblewood Tales if you own that. That's perfect. Okay, so you have access to that list of visuals if you have that universe. Add a motion effect of magic, purple, music, alright, and then ambient sound. I don't have tabletop audio turned on or music 20 at the moment, so one moment while I turn those on. Yeah. Music. That's a relatively good one. Yes. One moment. For some reason, my sound is not currently working. But that's fine. Oh, okay. I didn't change the scene. That's why. Okay. Music. There we go. Let's go ahead and upload a couple of maps to this. Tactical. Okay. So some of you have probably seen this grid size and wondered what exactly that is. The grid size, I'll show it to you by making it really small. The grid size is just these squares that show up on the screen. So you can make these as big or okay, sorry, lost audio for a moment. So yeah, you make the squares as many or as few as you need, so it fits exactly to your map and doesn't go over the edges. So let's go ahead and actually upload something. Add map, select. We're gonna upload from my computer. I was looking at one that was here, and bag of holding. This one that we chose earlier, inside bag of holding. Okay. Okay. I think this one does have a grid on it natively, so we'll go in and take a look at that. So here's the map, and it looks like we got lucky because this is a Seipeku map. As you can see here, the grid actually perfectly fits. So the size of the squares here match the size of the grid in the map itself, the actual map. See, perfectly aligns. So the reason for that is that these squares are each 70 pixels by 70 pixels. No, sorry, 140 pixels by 140 pixels is the resolution of each of these squares. So that's the native resolution of Alchemy. Each square is 140 pixels by 140 pixels each. If you are doing scaling, you can either zoom all the way in, where it goes to 70 pixels by 70 pixels for each of one of these squares. So you can see 4 squares fit inside one of these 140 pixel square grids in the native map. Or you can zoom all the way out. Apparently you can zoom out much farther than I was told before. But that's fine. There we go. That's slightly misaligned now. Ooh. Perfect. Alright. So what you want to do for scaling is you want to line it up with this corner here, because the scaling happens from this corner. So if you have this corner all the way over here in the middle of the map and you move the scale, it's going to stretch from that spot. And if you're not looking at that corner, let's say you're looking way over here when you're doing the scaling, it's all just kind of like zooming past you, and it's not very easy to get it to line up properly, because it's all like skewing all over the place and not staying in one spot to really tell which size is which. So it's best to get it to line up with the corner of the grid, which I have lost. It's around here somewhere. This is what happens when you make the grid smaller. There it is. There's the grid. All the way over there. So if you don't line it up with the corner, you can get lost on the map and not really know where you are. Okay, we'll get that lined up again. Get it up in the corner. Move the scale. Everything sits right there in the right spot. And boom, back in place. I completely agree. That would be very helpful. Okay, so now that we got that back in the right spot, let's place some tokens. Okay, turn off the tracking. I'm not sure how wide this is in the grid, so we'll just work in this corner here. Now I'll expand it to 200 by 200 again, just to make that easier. I apologize for the dog playing with a toy in the background. Da, 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 da. Alright. Yeah, it's still fine. But bring the opacity way down. There you go. Alright. So we'll add a token. Now when you add tokens, they attach to your cursor right away. There we go. You can add multiple tokens for one character if you want to, but they would share the same stats. So like the trackers wouldn't be different for each token. So if you want to add a bunch of bad guys, and you try adding a bunch of tokens from one character sheet, you're gonna have a hard time keeping track of all those health bars on one character sheet, because every token would technically have the same HP. So that's a bit awkward. When you have the grid on, it automatically snaps to grid. But if you turn it off, one moment, I'm gonna grab the dog. As soon as she knows I'm about to grab her, she runs away from me. Okay, I will take a break in a moment to walk her, but just a moment. So if you turn off the Alchemy grid, you can move the token anywhere you want. So if you want to have a grid and not snap to grid at the same time, you want to use a map that has a built-in grid. so you can do this, where you can move around freely along the grid lines. Because if you don't have a native grid on the map and you turn on the grid, it will automatically snap to grid. Does that kind of help you with your grid adjustments question and the token stuff, Stealthy? One. Awesome. Okay. So, next, let's showcase how to use layers after a quick, let's say, 10-minute break to walk my dog. One moment. So yes, the stream will continue in 10. This puppy is making it well known that she needs to go outside. So I appreciate you guys. I will be back. also taking the opportunity to use the restroom, but now she's just being grumpy. Kisses, come here. Come here. It's 4th of July weekend, so there's some fireworks going off, and she's a small dog who likes having a lot of voice. One moment. I go after her, and she just runs away from me. She's like, no, I don't want to be held. I just want to bark. I love the puppy, but... okay. So, next, we are going to do layers and show how that works. So, one of the most wonderful things of, say, PICU maps is their variations. So, for this one... okay, is that better? I'm a little closer to the microphone. 1, 2, 3. I will catch you, dog. Come here. Okay, I gave her a bribe. We'll see how that goes. Alright. So, we are going to add another map layer. This isn't obvious, but you can rename the layers just by clicking your cursor on them. So this can just be a standard bag. And then we're gonna upload another one. I like this one that has water. Okay. So this is gonna be a water bag. So now, when we go to tactical mode, we see this floor, and we can go to the next bag, and there it is. Okay. So if we did this right, you should be in the exact same spot in this bag as the other bag. So let's go ahead and go between layers again. So remember this rope. Yes. So we did it right. And you are in the exact same spot. So this is what is important to know about using layers. I keep moving away from the microphone, so I apologize for the changes in quality. So this is what is important to know about layers in Alchemy, is that your location as a token is persistent between layers. So some people, when they first try using a layer in Alchemy, they might try going from like the edge of one map to the edge of another map, which it doesn't really work that way. You're still at the edge of this map. It doesn't start again over here. You can technically do that if you want to. So when you go into scaling mode, you could technically move the second layer all the way over here. So it's perpendicular. So let's say, okay, now let's switch between the layers. So you have this side on this side. That did not work. Oh my gosh. I did not expect that. I am bamboozled. Okay. So I thought that the map would move independently of one another, but apparently the software hard attaches the maps to one another. So that's a good thing to know. So if you move one, you move both. I haven't tested that before. I just assumed it would work the way I thought it did, but it didn't. That's wonderful. That is a great question. Let's find out. So let's try moving this guy back. I don't know if we'll be able to scale independently of one another, so that's going to be interesting. Gotta line that up again. Okay, having some kind of snap to corner function would be awesome as well. Okay. So let's change the map scaling on this one so that it's all the way zoomed in, 4x4. Alright, so we'll save, and then I'll go to the other layer. And that's also 4x4 now, I believe. So it shares scaling between the two of them. That's interesting. So let me just upload a map that's completely different then. Okay. Add a map. Select. Upload. Okay. I have Snugglebeasts in here. That's interesting. Why do I have Snugglebeasts in this one? I have no idea, but that's cool. I now have art for Snugglebeasts. I didn't know that was there. Who knew? Okay. So first one to use one of these names, I'll add that map. If anyone wants to choose for me. Okay. I will probably choose... Oh, Great Library. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Great Library. It kind of fits with the theme. Bestiary Room. That's cool. This is one of the maps that actually has like different layers. I think there's a staircase in this one. But let's just go ahead and add this guy for now. Okay. And we'll go to map 3, which I didn't end up naming. Okay. I don't even know if they're different size maps. So let's see. This edge, does it line up with the other edges? Okay, so it is a different size map. Let's set grid scaling. Actually, that's good to know as well. So is it all the way zoomed in on the other map? So map 3. Is this all the way zoomed in, or is this standard zoom? Show grid. Okay, it's all the way zoomed in, so that's 4x4. Oh, yep. So the top left corner does still appear to be synced between maps. But let's try moving that third map and see if it's still synced after a quick move. Show grid. Okay. And water bag. Okay, it syncs between the layers in the top left corner. They all sync right there. because on the opposite side, this is for map 3. Map 3 is significantly smaller, so that doesn't line up at all. The scaling is consistent between all 3 maps though, because this map has the same pixel ratio as the other 2. I apologize for the squeaking. Oh my gosh, what is she doing? Okay. I bribed her with another treat, so maybe this squeaking will die down. Yes. So you'd want to add blank space. She is. You want to add blank space to the left-hand side to sync it with the other layers where you want it, because it's always going to align with that left-hand upper left corner. So if you know the right pixel ratio to offset it, you can do it that way. You've noticed that all 3 maps share the same scaling. So you want to have the pixel ratio for the grid squares the same in every layer of your maps. So if one had a pixel ratio of 100 versus another one with a pixel ratio of 140, they would never line up on the grid because they have different sizes and the map scaling is uniform for all 3 layers, if that makes sense. She's barking at her toy chicken. Okay. I feel like that covered the layer thing pretty well. Yes. I think that would also be helpful to be able to independently change layers. I think this is a quality of life feature that they wanted to make it easier to yes, one moment. Hello? Okay, there we go. So yes, you are right, Stealthy. I will show you how to do that. I haven't showed how adding NPC token works yet. Let's go back to the bag of holding. Okay. We'll turn off grid stuff for now. Alright. So let's add some NPCs. So we haven't done anything with NPCs yet. The NPCs are also divided by their modules, so you can look for them fairly easy. We'll go for hard deco NPCs. Let's say that this bag of holding is infested with Tangle Wasp. Yeah, we'll add a bunch. So, you can see here that you can either have NPCs. Okay, so Kamimori. I will figure out how to pronounce that if you let me, eventually. Anyways, so for tokens, you want to have a different so you want to have a different NPC for each one that you have, because you can make multiple tokens for the same NPC, and if you change view, edit, we can change the thing here. Pictures, Alchemy. we'll make it an Abeloth creature. And it'll change all the tokens for that character sheet. So that makes that kind of easy to have multiple NPCs without having multiple character sheets filling up your NPC bar. But the problem with that is that you only have access to one character sheet. That means you only have access to one health bar. So you can only adjust one health bar tracker for all of these creatures. So say we want to reduce the HP of this guy to 13. So that's this guy, HP 13, but that also means this guy. We'll go trackers. This guy also has an HP of 13. So if you make all the tokens from the same character sheet, they share that character sheet, so you have the same stats for each one. So that's why you want to create multiple NPCs. And so yes, you can add multiple NPCs from the list, as many as you want. And then you can have you have to hit token to drag it onto there. As many different character sheets as you want. So that one's 18. Trackers. This one's still at 22, and then this one is still back at 13. So that's the point for the if it's the same token, if it's a token from the same character sheet, then they all share the same HP. So trackers, same HP. But see these two are from two different character sheets. So we view this one. This one has we do trackers on this one. This one has an HP of 18. The trackers on this one is still full health because this is Tango Wasp. This is Tango Wasp 2, and this is Tango Wasp 3. So they have different character sheets because you made the tokens from different character sheets. But after so you want me to change the health for this guy or this guy? So top one or this one? Oh, okay. You mean the actual character sheet itself. So I will change the HP for the tracker here. 13. Go to 10. And so this one, 10. And then this one, also 10. I apologize if that wasn't quite what you wanted. Okay. But what you can do is if you've made a change to a character that's already in the game and you want to apply that change to all of those characters, you can do this, view, and duplicate. Did that work? That should have worked. Edit. I'll remove these guys real quick. Kisses, you calm down. Yes, her name is Kisses. That did not work. I feel like the duplicate should have worked. Okay then. That's awkward. Okay, so these two character sheets are removed, so you have to remove the tokens now. That's awkward, but okay. The duplicate function is not working, but what we can do is go to this guy. Oh, did it duplicate inside here? Maybe. But we can add this guy back in. Aha! That's where the duplicate happened. Yes. So, you don't remove an NPC from the game as a whole unless you delete it from the NPC selection area. So all those single wasps that we deleted, the only way they're deleted from the game as a whole is if we remove them from here. These are still technically in the game and we can add them back in right away. See? And so the duplication also works. So the duplicate, instead of adding the kisses, I know you want to play, I'm sorry. I'm busy. So the duplicate duplicates the character, the NPC, to this section instead of directly to the scene for some reason. Why it does that, I don't know, but the duplicate function does work. It just puts it there instead of there. But yeah, you can still, if you like a token that you've already made changes to, you can create new tokens with those changes by adding it to the game. And remember that changes to... Okay, I'm holding the puppy. So changes to characters in-game do not change the characters inside the universe. So the Tinga Wasp in the Humblewood universe doesn't now have this picture. This is all independent of universe. But if you want to make these changes permanent to the universe version, all you have to do is go into the character, view, and then download that JSON, and then upload that JSON to your universe so you have that NPC saved exactly how you want it. If that makes sense. Okay. And so, if you've noticed, every token we've added so far is grayed out here. This means that the players cannot see them. So if we are making this scene before the players join the game, we can hide these NPCs somewhere on the map. And then when a player joins, the player won't see them at all. Let's show that. So we'll go to my other Alchemy and join the game. Okay. Yeah. So I apologize, I have music playing on both. Okay. So that's awkward. Why is it doing that? Oh, it thinks it's still half screen. Okay. That should be fixed. Okay, that's fixed. Okay. So now I'm in the game and I don't see those monsters there as a player. But the DM can see them just fine. Let's go ahead and add that player's token to the map. So let's remove the token again because I don't think players can add their own token. So let's showcase that. So right click. Yes, you cannot add your own token. So you will have to add your player's token to the map in advance for them. Okay. And so yes, I agree with you on that one. It would be great if they could add a token. Okay. So, back to here. And then I can move them up to show them on screen. And so it takes them a minute for it to refresh. And now they're all visible. And now, as a player, they're not visible. They should be. Refreshing is not Alchemy's strong suit. Aha. Where are the NPCs? They should, but right now, my player cannot see them. Why can my player not see them? That could be. That'd be an interesting thing. I haven't tried it before. Okay, for some reason they all moved. They should be way over here. Okay. Ah, they're visible now. I think that's because the scaling didn't save earlier, which might have been an issue with the refresh. So the tokens aren't small, it's just the map is very big. So yeah, I can change that real quick. Oh, I didn't mean to drag the map. Let's try aligning that back with the corner. And getting that back into square. Save that. Get all the tokens into the middle. Sometimes changing scenes helps save settings because it causes the game to refresh. So now let's see if the player sees what I want them to see. Okay, and it works now. That would be helpful. So I assume that this works better if you're not having two windows open and playing as both a player and the DM at the same time. So there's that. I'm also streaming and recording and everything at the same time as well. So whether or not that's affecting this lag refresh issue, we'll see. Okay. But yes, as the DM, I can move the NPCs down and they should start disappearing. Yep. And they're gone from the player view. Okay. And so that way you can hide NPCs in advance. Because, like, I can have no players in the game and add all these NPCs and then add them to the map. and then when they do join the game, I can pop them out and be like, woohoo, enemies, start combat. That kind of thing. Any other questions regarding tokens? The transparent layer, that's so that your players don't have access to the map. So what they were talking about was they want to hide the map in general, because as a player, I can turn on the map at any time, and then I can see it. The transparent layer thing was about hiding the map from the player so that they don't see what they're getting into before they're ready. Because I can turn on the tactical mode without the DM's permission. So as long as there is a tactical map, I as a player have access to that map. I might not be able to see the NPCs, but I can still see the map itself. So I can kind of know what I'm getting into before the DM is ready, if they have it on and they don't want me to see it. That brings me to another thing that I was working on earlier today. So let me edit and add one more layer. I don't know what this is going to look like because it's not scaled for the other maps. Yes, is. Calm down. So open. Check. Okay, I don't know if that layer is saved properly because I didn't let it load. Okay, so that's a good lesson for you guys. If you add something but you don't wait for it to load, it will not actually be added. You have to wait for the thing to save before you can close it out. Alright. So now that's saved, I can close it out. And I can go to tactical mode and switch layer to map 4. And look at that, you see my handsome face. So, if you want to make like an NPC pop on the screen and like you're having a dialogue with a merchant and it's like a really big merchant or like captain of the guard or something, if you have a PNG with a transparent background, you can upload them as a tactical map and you will see their character over the background of the visual that you have. It is a bit awkward because the tokens are still there, so you probably want to do this when you're not actually using tokens. But it's a nice little thing that you can do where you can have the background there and then a character pop up in front of it. There is a future request to make this like an actual feature. Yes, the NPC story mode. That's the feature request. So that will be nice. I'm pretty sure you can just do that as well. So, yep. You can just throw it up on the journal too. Let me show you those handouts from earlier. Well, at least one of them, because I only have one of them formatted for in-game at the moment. So, edit game, content. Value supplement. Like this. Handouts. Add a handout. Okay. So, since all of you guys decided to show up today, I'm willing to share this one with you guys. But I don't normally share that one because it's not a public universe like SRD. but it is free on Alchemy, so I can share it with you guys if you guys want it. But this is the one that I do want to share with you guys already. So this is the cheat sheet I showed at the beginning of the stream for those that were there. So this is for your players that are unfamiliar with 5e. As I mentioned earlier, articles cannot be accessed in-game by default. I stole the art from the SRD on Alchemy for 5e. I can, but you can also, if you were there earlier, I showed how to steal images from Alchemy. I can show that off again if you'd like before the end of the stream, where you can get the image from anywhere on Alchemy and get the link to it to download or to use for inline images. So, as I mentioned, Kiss is puppy. Why? Why must you do this? Okay. Articles, as I was saying, are not visible in Alchemy, so you had to make a handout to get access to that information. So this is my handout to get access to SRD information in game. So if your players don't know what the combat actions are that they have available to them, they can click on this link and it goes to the article that I created that will show you the different options that you have. I'll probably add a table on here with easy viewing at a later point, because I just realized it's not very helpful to have it just in a list if you don't know what's in the list. So I'll put a table at the top and then the descriptions underneath the table. But this is the benefit of me sharing these. I apologize for the ball. This is the benefit of me sharing this handout with you. I'm going to share the markdown for this handout so that you will have access to all of these embedded articles in your own universe whenever you want. I'll show you how that works. So that if I ever update this article for making attacks to make it look better, you'll have access to that right away, and you won't have to change anything. If I change this sheet, you'd have to update it yourself, but the embeds, the links to those would always work. So if I change the embed article information, you'll always have access to that without having to add it to a module. Yes, so that's part of what I want to do here. So that's the gameplay cheat sheet to get access to basic SRD information and game. Okay, one moment. Puppy, calm down. Move to your treat. I will share that with you in just a moment. Alright. So, I have bribed the puppy. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay. So, yes, she does just want attention, but she's also just aggravated because of the loud noises. So you want to use embeds in handouts because links will take you out of game and send you to another page. But embeds will just pop up and make the information available while you're still in game. So for handouts, embeds. For articles, you can use links or embeds depending on what it's for. But for handouts, always use embeds. And these embeds that I created here, I made a return button to send you back to a version of this sheet, because if you have an embed and you don't have a return button of some kind, there's no way for you to get back to that main sheet again. So you have to exit out and then open it up again, which I could show you with the other handout. So we'll get back to this one in a moment, and I'll show you how you guys can get it and use it. But this is the one that I'll share with you guys because you showed up. That I don't normally share this one because it's part of a universe that you can get on Alchemy already. I don't have the visual for this one, so let me attach that. I have it in here somewhere. There we go. Okay. And check. So Elements of Inspiration is a free universe module that's available here on Alchemy. It isn't so the native version, I'll show you what that looks like. So that's under Nord Games, I believe. Alright. And so what it looks like normally is just one giant article and then also 90 scenes that you can add to your game, because it has 60 scenes, because it has one scene for each of these things. It's not a very good way to use the material. It's not a very good way to view the material. So I created this handout that you can use in game to go along with that universe. So it's a roll table where you roll 1d6 to choose one of these three. Is it a combat scenario, an exploration scenario, or a roleplay scenario? And then once you roll one of the 1d6, you can roll a 1d20 to figure out which specific card that you choose, because this is initially a card thing. So let's go ahead and do that. Roll 1d6. 1d6. No, journal's not open. Okay, so we got 2 for that second one. So that means we're going to be on combat, and then we roll a d20. That means there's a new sound for when you crit with a d20. So since I rolled a natural 20, it did that beep 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 sound. Bum bum bum. Which is pretty cool. Okay, so that means we get the Fiend. So I have these embeds here to view these cards really quickly within the game. So this one's for 11 through 20. So you can scroll all the way down to 20. And so I have it divided by groups of 10 because it would be a really long embed if I had all 20 in the same one instead of divided by 10. So I have each of these 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 for the 60 in total. So I can scroll down to 20, and then I roll 1d4 to figure out which one of these I use. The demon, the devil, the hag, or other scenario. And so that's 1d4. What I actually usually do is I make an action for that, where I can do a dice roll for 1d6, and then another action for dice roll for 1d20, and then another action for dice roll 1d4. And so this is how I plan on doing tables in my games. So I can use it. It'll do all the rolls for me. So I go to the 2, I go to 16, and I go to 4. And so I go to my handout, look at my table. I go to 2. 16 is rogue, so we go to the article for 2, 16, and we go to the 4, inquisitive. A dastardly rogue with no care for the law is out to get one of the characters. Perhaps they have personal vendetta, or maybe they are looking to make quick coin. Inquisitive, someone is looking into characters on behalf of an old enemy or a new rival, and then you can play out that scene. So if you guys want access to that one, go ahead and let me know, and I'll get a thing set up for that. But you had to add the module first so that they know that you're interested, because I'm not trying to take attention away from them. So it's a free module within Alchemy in the marketplace, so add that, and then I'll make a markdown copy of this guy so I can send you guys that one as well. Okay. So but let's go ahead and do a markdown tutorial real quick. Alright, so I'll do two things. I'll show you what the markdown looks out for that handout and share that with you guys, and then I will show you what my import looks like for classes specifically that I have from D&D Beyond and Alchemy instead. Shall I show you that? I won't be able to share those with you because IP stuff, but I will show you what it looks like. So first, this guy. So here's my article for that cheat sheet. So I will share this with you guys. I shared it actually already in the DM workshop. So in the Discord DM workshop, LFG, it's one of the two links that are already there. Just click on one of them and it'll take you to the gameplay cheat sheet or character creation. But the key thing to add this to your universe is to actually go to the bottom of the page and click right here, current master article for the gameplay cheat sheet. This will take you here, where I have instructions for copy and pasting this cheat sheet to your own universe so that you can use it in your game and your players can have access to my embeds whenever they want to. So what I have here is a plain text markdown that you can copy and paste that will give you this sheet and whatever universe that you add it to. So I can just copy all this, Control C, go to my library, and go back to that Horror Draco one. Horror Draco. Make a handout here. Create a handout. The puppy is going crazy again. Puppy, it's okay. It's okay. It's just a firework. I go to grab her and she runs downstairs. Okay. So you can paste this to a handout in your own universe. And then save it. You'll have to get a copy of the image on your own since you can't really copy the thing without scraping it. And then you'll have access to my embeds without being added to my universe module. So you can get access to all of those articles I have in the other universe without ever having to be added to my universe module individually. So whenever I update any of these other articles that it embeds to, you'll automatically get those updates because it'll be that article that's linking to, if that makes sense. So yeah. But in that instructions, I do say that you have to delete these little backslashes before the numbers. Because I had to have the backslashes in to keep the markdown from showing up. So, but that's a pretty easy fix. Just go back in, delete all those. Because I wanted to keep the numbers, but if I have the numbers in and I don't do the backslash, the markdown does a thing, which I'll show you here. So it does this indentation with the numbers, and then you can't copy the numbers if it does that. So that's why the backslashes are there. So yeah. And then the same thing is there for my other handout for character creation. So you can see I have a ton of articles in here. So some of these are for the... So that's the point. You don't have to add my module. What you want to do is, as I said, you go to the link that I gave you. You go to the bottom of that link. The link is located in the bottom of the chat for the stream. So the D5E workshop and looking for group, the link is there. And so once you follow the link, you scroll down to the bottom. You click on the master article, and then you follow the instructions and copy this to your own universe. You can copy it to an article or a handout and use it that way. And then you'll have access to all of this in your own universe. So I don't have to add you to the module at all. Does that make sense? All right. So, and so it also the master article has a link to the master article in the copy. So if I ever notify you guys, hey, I updated the master article with a couple extra embed links, all you have to do is go to your universe, find this copy that you made, and go down to the embed at the bottom. And it'll take you to my master article in case you lost that link and you can't find it again. And then you can copy the updated version and then use that instead. So, in case I ever update the article and you guys want to get the new version. Okay, and back. And so that's just for the gameplay cheat sheet. This is what I have for character creation. This only has SRD stuff because I'm sharing this widely and I don't want to infringe on IP stuff. But this is better as an article than a handout because it has this extra navigation here because it's fairly big, and it's easier to have it as a handout as an article because then you can do this and you can have it outside a game, and then your player can go in and view and edit their character sheet by looking at it if they want to, if they're doing their character creation here on Alchemy. So they can look through all their character creation options. They can choose their race. I have embeds to race articles that give you an overview of the mechanics for the race. It doesn't show the fluff, but if you want to read the fluff, I have a link to the D&D Beyond article that will give you the fluff. Because again, I didn't want to infringe an IP, so I just had SRD content here, and then this is the basic rules content that they have for you here. So if your player is like, oh, this sounds like a cool class, let me learn more, click D&D Beyond. So I had that for each of the races, the table of their race features, and then a link to their Beyond sheet. And then I also have. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Damn. Did my Wi-Fi crash? Okay, I think my internet crashed for a moment. Is everything okay on your guys' end? It said it reconnected, so can you guys see me again? Okay. So, Goofy, yours didn't format correctly with the copy paste? That's only right. Alright. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, the puppy is now a prisoner in my lap, and she should bark less. Alright. So, if it didn't format properly, I can double check the master article and see if so you did copy and paste from the master article and not from the all right, there we go. Okay, my cord is being difficult. Puppy, I am begging you to shush. Okay. I gave her another bribe. Okay. So, hope if the formatting doesn't work properly, you can go ahead and post a screenshot, and we can see what's going on for you. You can either post it in the discussion group, or you can post the screenshot in the separate Discord that I have, and I can help you troubleshoot that. But okay. So yeah, I will share those, and then I'll share the other one a little bit later. Oh my gosh. That's awkward. Okay. Are you on a Windows PC? Because this is an issue with your copy and paste, I believe. Because okay. So, when you copy and paste, it didn't keep the formatting of the enter button. So, when I copy and paste here, it has an enter in all the right spots. So like it separates every paragraph properly. Because when I paste, it knows where all those go. But when you pasted, it took out all of those enter spaces, and it like shoved them all into one really long line. So that's why your copy paste didn't work. So if you felt like it, you could go through and hit enter in every page, every paragraph break where there's supposed to be one. But I know you hate work, so I just don't think that's going to work out for you. If you can convince your Mac to copy and paste with those line breaks where they're supposed to be at, it might work. But I think it's just bad luck for you. I'm sorry. Death to Mac. I hate Apple. But that's okay. You can see where the breaks are by just looking at the master sheet. So, for example, when you open up the CP version, every time you see these gaps here, that's where you're supposed to have an enter. So you'd hit enter, and then it goes to the new line, hit enter, hit enter, hit enter, like all these line breaks. But as I said, there's a lot of line breaks, especially in the table sections. And I think it's just going to be hard for you to figure out where those are because it's a little hard to tell. And I just don't think it's going to be fun for you if you try it. So you're welcome to try, but I think that's just a formatting issue you're going to have to live with. I'm sorry for you. Okay. But let's go over Markdown in general now that I've shared this with you. You guys can browse them some more later, and you can hopefully figure out that formatting issue if possible. But let me show you what Markdown looks like when creating an article. So that's the public 5e supplement that I've made to share. This is the one where I have added those public sheets that I plan to share with people. I'm going to show you the one that I have just for me, though. So this one has the whole description for the classes here on Alchemy. So I imported these from my copy in Roll20. Let me do one that's a little bit more public. Barbarian. There we go. And so there, you can see that I have tables. I have different headers. I have bolding. I have lists. And I have inline text. I have quotes here. I have these different sections on the side so you can quickly get to different things. So I'll show you what the Markdown looks like for all this. So, edit. Markdown is divided. I'm holding the puppy again. We'll see how long I'm able to hold on. So Markdown is divided into headers by using the hashtag symbol, the pound sign. So the number of pound signs that you have determines the level of header. 1 pound sign is the very top level. 2 pound signs is the second level. And why are there dashes? I said done that by accident. All right. So I'll show you this comparison. So this is the top level header for Barbarian, and this is the second level header for class features. Only the top level and the second level appear on the navigation bar on the left. So the top level and then the second level. So the top level will divide the second level into sections for you. Sadly, they're not currently collapsible, which I would appreciate for like extra long articles. So all this could be collapsed into one. But this is still helpful in its own right. Okay. And then you'll also have headers 3 and 4. So I don't use header 4 in this page anywhere, I don't think. But header 3 turns it gold and slightly smaller. And this doesn't show up on the navigation bar. And then header 4 will add... Where'd the C come from? Okay. Header 4 will add a line underneath that header. So you see this line break shows up kind of like under header 2 and header 1. You get this see-through line under header 4 that you don't get with header 3. So it makes an even bigger divide between the two. You can use Control B and Control I to get bold and italics, which is 1 star sign on either side or 2 star signs on either side. 1 for italics, 2 for bold. And then if you just have 1 star sign on the end with a space, you get a list instead. So the list will indent and be slightly separated. You can add inline text. Not inline text, but inline images here. You can define the size of that image by putting in equals, I'll say 75. And look at that, it's tiny, it's small. So you can define the size of that image that way. So the syntax for that is just exclamation mark, 2 brackets, 2 parentheses with the image link in the middle. So this image link, yes, I am currently planning on doing one of those. Currently, the Markdown in Alchemy, this is what we have. It's very good. It's very explanatory. I highly recommend it. It's just a lot at once. It would be nice if this was an article instead of a handout format, because you don't have that navigation bar on the sides. You can't really jump to where you need to look for something. So I'll talk to Vinny about that, about getting something that's a little bit more navigable on this. But this is very helpful. So that it'll go over all this Markdown stuff. Yes. So I'll talk to Vinny about that, about getting article link rather than a handout. Okay, I will show that, and then I think we'll call it a night because it started 4th of July fireworks, and I'm not going to win the fight with this dog about barking. Okay, so to get a link like this into your article, what you want to do is upload it to your universe in the assets tab. So I don't actually have them here because I stole all these images. I stole all these images from the Roll20 website, so that they're all hosted there. I just stole the link, which I can show you how to do now. So if you want to steal a link from somewhere in Alchemy, if you want to steal an image, all you have to do is right click on this is okay. You want to do it from inside the web app rather than the Alchemy app. So you want to use the browser. We'll sign out, sign in as the other one. I just switch one letter around between my two accounts. But if you want to steal something from any Alchemy place, all you have to do is right click on the image, inspect, and then move over this side right here. And then all you have to do is hit the down button and kind of like reveal the link, and then you can click on that link and it'll show you the link for that image. And you can copy this link for that inline markdown text that I showed you earlier, or you can download it. So let's see this image. Wasps. And so now that we have the image for wasps, we can upload that to our custom universe. So hard deco. Go to assets, upload assets. Go back to downloads. Wasps. Okay. Now that we have the wasp in our assets, we can get that link here, and we can copy that link and use the link there for the markdown. Or if we're trying to add it to like an NPC, like we want to create that wasp on our own, we can just upload it there. But using the link is great for markdown. But if you wanted to add it to your article at like the end of your article, you can add the visual. I now have a wasp article. It should update. Where did it go? There it is. Wasps. But if you wanted to do the inline text, I copied that link a moment ago. So all you have to do is put this is the inline text syntax. So it's exclamation point, kisses, then brackets, and then parentheses, and you paste the link in the parentheses, and then go ahead and save it, and boom, you have your image. Kisses. Shush. And as I mentioned earlier, you can take that image from anywhere. So let's say I was wasp concept art. Alright, so we go to images. you see this thing right here? We can open. It should be okay. So you want to open the image in a new tab. Open image in new tab. Okay, and then you want to copy this image address right here and edit and paste that image address there and done, and boom, you have artwork from anywhere on the internet in your article. So it doesn't actually have to be uploaded to your universe to have access to it in your article, just as long as it's hosted somewhere on the internet and you have the link to that image. Does that help you, Oni? Okay. I hope you guys had a great time, learned stuff. I feel like there was still some stuff I could have covered, but I tried to get through plenty. If you have any other questions, you can always post them in the Discord and I'll help you guys out. Yes. I'm just crossing my fingers that this entire thing recorded properly. So we'll see if that worked or not. I think I have my VOD settings to save everything. So we'll see. Yes. I would love to do a second workshop if you guys are interested. I'll try to schedule it a bit further in advance in case anyone else wants to show up. But I appreciate you guys, and I hope everyone has a great night. Yep. Thanks for showing up. Good night, good night, good night.